250 years, the U.S. Army has defended its people, land, and the American way of life. At the dawn of our nation, farmers, craftsmen, and patriots stood against the mightiest empire in the world. These citizen soldiers took up arms to fight for independence and prevailed. At Lexington and Concord and through the bitter winter at Valley Forge, the Army fought for and secured our nation's freedom. 30 years later, in the War of 1812, the Army faced another test as British forces marched on our young republic. At Fort McHenry, under relentless bombardment, the Army held firm. "This will defend" was not just a rallying cry, it was a promise that ensured the sovereignty of our country. Then, the greatest test of all, the Civil War, pitted brother against brother in a nation divided. The Army fought not just for land, but for the preservation of the Union and for freedom. At Gettysburg, at Antietam, and beyond, they defended their belief in a unified country, which shaped the future of our nation. In the bloodiest battles of the 20th century, American soldiers answered the call, fighting wherever liberty was at risk. In 1917, as the world was consumed by war, the U.S. Army entered a conflict like no other. In the trenches of France, soldiers faced barbed wire, poison gas, and relentless artillery. At Cantigny, they launched their first major assault. At Saint-Mihiel, they executed a swift and decisive attack, proving American strength. And during the Meuse-Argonne Offensive, the largest battle in U.S. history, they shattered enemy lines, helping bring the war to its end. In 1941, when the world plunged into war yet again, the Army was ready. From the deserts of North Africa to the hedgerows of France, from the islands of the Pacific to the streets of Berlin, U.S. soldiers carried the weight of the free world. On June 6, 1944, they stormed the beaches of Normandy, charging through the surf and gunfire, and climbing cliffs against overwhelming odds. Victory was never certain, but they fought fiercely and triumphed. Their fight wasn't just for America, it was for millions silenced by tyranny. 5 years after World War II, another struggle for freedom erupted. In Korea, the Army faced not only a determined enemy, but brutal winters and impossible odds. In the Battle of Incheon, their fierce fighting forced the North Korean Army to retreat. At the Pusan perimeter, they held the line. And in the frozen hills of Chosin, they fought with every ounce of strength to defend liberty. But peace was fleeting. In the 1960s, as tensions escalated in Southeast Asia, the Army was called to Vietnam. In the dense jungles, soldiers fought a relentless battle against an elusive enemy. The Army's strength was on display in the Battle of La Drang, where soldiers held firm under extreme conditions. In the face of uncertainty, the Army showed unwavering commitment to their mission. In 1990, the Army was called to the Middle East as Iraq threatened to dominate its neighbors. From the deserts of Saudi Arabia to the streets of Kuwait, soldiers launched a decisive offensive, pushing back the forces of tyranny and restoring peace. In just 100 hours, the Army's swift and overwhelming force liberated Kuwait, proving the might of American power and determination. Then, in 2001, the world changed. The attacks on September 11th set in motion a new era of conflict. The U.S. Army stood at the forefront of the global war on terrorism, fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. In the mountains of Tora Bora, soldiers pursued those responsible for the attacks. And in the streets of Baghdad, soldiers faced an insurgency determined to tear the region apart. Their commitment never wavered as soldiers confronted each new trial, ensuring the security of America and its allies in a world that had been forever altered. The nature of war changed, and so did the Army. Today, the Army stands ready for whatever is next. Faster, smarter, and more lethal than ever. Battle-tested and constantly evolving, today's Army thrives under pressure. Across every domain, land, air, sea, space, and cyber, the Army remains ready and engaged. Through training and transformation, the Army ensures soldiers are equipped, empowered, and prepared to win against any adversary. Artificial intelligence and advanced weapons are changing the way we fight. But our foundation stays the same, the warrior ethos. Mission first. Never quit. Never accept defeat. Never leave a fallen comrade. Wherever the need, soldiers show up to fight and to serve, ensuring the safety and security of the nation. The Army's legacy lives in those who step forward. And the next chapter? It belongs to those who are ready to lead, to adapt, and make the same promise that every soldier makes to the nation and its people. This will defend.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is Patriot Day in America, the United States Army celebrating 250 years. It's the 250th anniversary, the birthday for our United States Army. Also, of course, today is Flag Day and President Trump's birthday. This is a patriotic day. If you ever wanted one, it is right here. And, you know, as patriots here in this country, people that just love our country, love President Trump, love the MAGA movement, love freedom, love our military, love our people. You know, it's one of those things that pretty much every day is Patriot Day in America, but today a real big highlight of it in Washington, D.C. Before we go to Washington, D.C., live with RSBN host Robert McNeily, who will bring us the sights and sounds of the event there. It's still yet to start. I mean, it's going to start in a couple hours yet, but you know, just giving us a feel of what it's like there now, and also the great commentary, of course, by Robert, and any videos that we have when it comes to the United States Army, we'll be glad to play it here for you. Also, we have a number of sponsors to talk about today because these sponsors are on the right side of history, including the following. Republican Red Winery. Check this out. This year, as I just mentioned, marks the 250 years of the United States Army, and Republican Red Winery is raising a glass to the heroes who's defended our freedom since 1775. What a beautiful bottle that is right there on your screen. From the battlefields of the Revolution to the front lines of today, the Army has defended the liberty and freedom we hold dear. So to commemorate, you see it right there, this historic milestone, Republican Red Winery has crafted a limited edition wine that salutes our soldiers, past, present, and future. It's bold, it's 100% American made, and it is the first wine in a series raising funds to support our veterans. So you can stock up now for Independence Day, military reunions, or just a good old-fashioned American barbecue. Order your bottle today at republicanred.com because 250 years of freedom deserves more than a toast. Of course, it deserves a legacy. Here's to 250 more. Republican Red Winery, bold wine for brave Americans, only at republicanred.com. An absolutely great sponsor here at Right Side. What a beautiful bottle that is for today as well. Saluting 250 years defending our nation. Also, we want to shift to one of our new sponsors here, Bearskin. This is an absolutely great product here. Trust me, because thank you, Bearskin. We actually received a number of the products right here. This is kind of perfect for today because this is the hunter green outer shell, but the rain jacket here that is U.S. Army color indirectly today for a U.S. Army Day. So they sent us one of these as well. They sent us also the inside part of it. This is the hoodie that is pretty awesome. I actually saw a number of the ads over the past couple months, and I said, you know what, I do want to get my hands on that product. Finally, I have that right here. It's the hoodie and heavy storm rain jacket combo. So it's ultra light, heavy duty. I actually tried this on yesterday, both of them. So you put this on, then you throw this on if it gets stormy out there, whether you're fishing, hiking, boating, whatever you're doing outdoors. And it actually is really comfortable. And not only that, this is the kind of stuff that when you're outside and it gets stormy, you got everything taken care of with Bearskin. Speaking of all of that, As a news reporter over the years, one of the things I like to cover was outdoor weather events, inclement weather, whether it's a hurricane, a tropical storm, blizzards, aftermaths of tornadoes. I just really like putting on this kind of gear and going out there and covering it. And I can tell you, I know after 20 years of doing that kind of coverage, what kind of gear is good. And Bearskin has got it going on right here. So you've got that's the outer shell. And again, the hoodie itself is pretty awesome. So you see all of that information right there. You can unlock 60% off. Now this is what you got to do. Just text RSBN to 36912. So 36912. So that's the number you put at the top. And then in the body of it, you put RSBN. I did this before I got to the broadcast today. I wanted to see the whole flow of everything. And it's great. They send you a text right away. You can click right away to get that 60% off of the hoodie here. So get that information right there. All you have to do is text RSBN to 36912. The world's only 10-pocket tactical hoodie. Literally, I counted. There are 10 pockets. So good stuff right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks so much, Bearskin, for sending over a number of the products as it's now 3:41, Saturday, June 14th. Why don't we go live to Washington, D.C., where RSBN host Robert McNeily is there. He's going to be there for the next few hours as we get to see this huge parade live from Washington. Let's go to Robert right now.
Welcome to Washington, D.C. You're looking live at Constitution Avenue as the Metropolitan Police, Secret Service, Great Army get together for this military parade, something that has not been done since 1991 during the George H.W. Bush administration. Something that should be celebrated because not only is it the Army's 250th birthday, dating back to those first shots at Lexington and Concord in April of 1775 to save this great nation, a band of 13 colonies that came together to shape a new constitutional republic against the strongest military at the time, the greatest empire, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, of course. And we are thrilled to be here on a muggy, swampy, hot and humid day where overcast for the most part, but the sun is now shining. It's great to have you all here with us live at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and we'd be remiss not to say happy birthday, Mr. President, 79 years young today. Over my right-hand shoulder, you will see the presidential box. Earlier, Lee Greenwood warming up with his God Bless the USA. We look forward to that performance, as well as a tribute to the United States military, specifically the Army, on its 250th birthday, with a legacy item of all the different uniforms, all of the different military equipment over the course of over 2 centuries now. And we have some familiar faces and friends that were in the crowd, including Courtney Reed, who is a great photographer. She was out there taking some pictures earlier, so maybe we'll get a chance to talk to her later on today, as well as some of the other attendees and perhaps even some of the members of the cabinet. They might stop on here near Constitution Avenue to talk to you, the American people. Always good as well to catch up with media colleagues and friends. Right behind us on the risers here, the Washington Monument. How beautiful is that to look out on this lovely mall of ours in the nation's capital, the Federal City, as I like to call it. And with all of the celebration, all of the Thanksgiving today, I'd be remiss not to focus on where we stand here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and that is a nonviolent stance, a peaceful stance. And today, earlier, State Representative, former Speaker of the Minnesota House, Melissa Hortman, and her husband murdered by someone pretending to be a police officer. Our thoughts and prayers with the family members there. Also, State Senator John Hoffman and his spouse also injured by this same perpetrator. Our thoughts and prayers are with both families, are with the Democratic Farm Labor Party of Minnesota, and with all Minnesotans. We're standing united as Americans because, to echo many good people across the country, we settle our differences at the ballot box, not through the use of violence. And we are thinking about our people in law enforcement who are out here full display, not only securing the area with Secret Service, state, local, and federal law enforcement as well, doing an amazing job to have this beautiful military parade today. But again, our thoughts and prayers with those in Minnesota. So beautiful day to be here. Summertime in Washington, D.C. It's always a privilege as we shared with you the inauguration, CPAC, a trip on Air Force One down to Palm Beach, Florida with President Trump. And now, of course, your beautiful federal city in the summertime. Always a joy to be with you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. And Mr. Matthew Alvarez in studio. Can you hear me, sir? And when we get that feedback together, we'll talk on some of the issues going on today and what President Trump is focused on as he tomorrow will be going to Alberta, Canada for the G7 meetings, and then also 2 weeks from now to the Netherlands and NATO meetings to take place. So this president nonstop, even taking time on his birthday this weekend where he can be celebrating at home at the White House just down the street from here, but instead wants to be out here on Constitution Avenue for this big, bold, beautiful display. Now, we have not seen many protests so far today. We heard that in many cities throughout the country and some suburban locations that there would be this so-called anti-King protest. We did not see anything right here on the mall where we're at, but we'll let you know if anything develops in that sense. Of course, many police officers securing the area. It's not as locked down as the inaugural was, but this is the traditional with the rallies going through Secret Service, going through all of TSA as well to get to this checkpoint. But really, all of today's been very, very smooth. As I hear we have Matthew Alvarez on the other side. How are you, my friend?
I am great, Robert. It's great to see you out there in Washington, D.C. I mean, this is a great time for our country. We're calling it Patriot Day in America, right? I mean, what's the vibe there? In the sense of, like, obviously right now you're in a secure zone, so you can't see the long lines of the people, but have you seen a lot of the MAGA hats and all that kind of thing?
Yes, some of the usual suspects, some of our friends, the Front Row Joes, and some of those great folks we interviewed during the campaign trail. Now, we were pretty much shuffled in around 1 o'clock Eastern to where we are right off of Constitution Avenue here and in the middle of the mall. So some different priorities with getting people in to where they're located, but now we actually have people filling up where I'm looking out to towards the Washington Monument. So some people I think will be enjoying behind our press risers as well as the risers you see behind me along the parade route.
Isn't it great to see our president lead the way to get rid of corruption, you know, in all these cabinet leader positions that he selected, people like Pete Hegseth, who did a great video with the White House commemorating the 250 years of the U.S. Army. I mean, these are people that are saying we want corruption out of our government. We want our country to be healthy again and our military to be strong. And Robert, if you remember, you were at I think it was the Commander-in-Chief Ball in Washington, D.C., when it was the inauguration that night. And didn't the president say something like, we want to have a military so strong, wouldn't it be great that we wouldn't even have to use it?
Yes, sir. Those were basically the exact words. And what was so interesting about that night, first and foremost, it was a lot colder than it is today. But second, how excited our military was. And then calling into South Korean command overseas to hear, welcome back, Mr. President. So that was an exciting moment dating back to January 20th of this year. And this all now culminates into something, Matthew, that hasn't happened since 1991 in the federal city during the Bush 41 administration, a military parade. And we've seen this around the world, whether it was May 8th in Russia and Vladimir Putin inviting Xi Jinping to enjoy the end of World War II celebrations that take place in Russia there. Also, Bastille Day in France is another one that seems to have inspired President Trump, with Emmanuel Macron saying, look at this. Look how great this parade is. Perhaps you could do it in your neck of the woods. And then also other countries like China displaying their military might as well at different times. So this is something we've seen around the world.
Exactly. And Robert, when you were covering the Fort Bragg speech by President Trump on Tuesday of this past week, he said, and I want to get your reaction to this quote here. President Trump said, "This week, we remember that we only have a country because we first had an army." And after 250 years, we still proudly declare that we are free because you are strong. We are safe because you are brave, and America's flag will never fall because America's army will never, ever fail. When you were watching that speech and just seeing and hearing from the military there cheering for President Trump, what was that like to hear that we have a president that is on the side of the military fully, and the military is on the side of the president fully?
He understands the civilian duties of leading this great fighting force, and the proof is in the pudding, as my former congressman and dear friend Peter Roskam used to say back in the early Illinois days when I was interning for him way back when. I'm dating myself a bit. And look at the recruitment numbers that have gone up because of President Trump, because of Secretary Hegseth, and because of those great young people that simply want to serve. So it's awesome to see the excitement in our military right now, and again, an all-volunteer force ready to put their lives on the line. And as President Trump said recently on Memorial Day, Vice President Vance and Secretary Hegseth, it's so important to look at the fact that we don't want to use this, but to have this meritocracy ready to fight each and every day for the American people. And think about a job, as important as our job is, Matthew, being journalist. It's the one career, the one vocation written into the United States Constitution, a free and fair press. We have a duty, and it's to show you the truth and to show you all of this amazing things for you, the American people, to happen on Constitution Avenue in your federal city. But thank God we have the people that will put themselves on the line every day to protect those founding documents. And you know who can protect you while you're at it, watching this wonderful Saturday coverage of this great, big, beautiful military parade? Happy birthday, Army. We are Army strong 250 years later in this great country. Tax Network USA, a wonderful sponsor of Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. Tax day may have passed, but for millions of Americans, the real trouble is just beginning. If you missed that April 15th deadline or still owe those back taxes, the IRS won't necessarily back down. They're ramping up enforcement. Every day you wait only makes things worse for you and for your wallet. With over 5,000 new tax liens filed daily and the tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, the IRS is applying pressure at levels we have not seen in years. Increased administrative scrutiny means collections are moving fast. Well, here's the good news. There's still time for Tax Network USA to help you. Even after the deadline, it's not too late to regain control, especially if you're self-employed or you're a business owner. If your books are a mess, they've got it covered for you. So Tax Network USA specializes in cleaning up financial chaos and getting you back on track fast. Even after the deadline, it's not too late to regain control. So those threatening letters could happen, the ramping up of penalties. Don't be surprised before they hit you. So 800-958-1000. That's 800-958-1000, or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. You may have missed that April 15th deadline, but do not fear. You have not run out of options. Let Tax Network USA help you with all of those needs. And while you're at that, our sponsors at Patriot Addict Deals were finally able to produce some more limited item Trump Air Force One replica planes. Actually, the Trump Force One planes that he had from the campaign trail. These planes are handmade. Takes months to produce. I have one of my own, and it's a lot of fun to have on my MAGA man desk. It's good stuff. There were only a few able to bring back, about 100 planes in this run, in fact. They will run out quick. They ran out the first time I purchased them, then took months to come back. So get your hands on the limited edition collector's piece Trump plane today, patriotaddictdeals.com. Don't forget code RSBN20. It's 20% off. Save that now. Code RSBN20. 20% off. These are super limited, all handcrafted, and they will be gone very, very soon. So get yours today, patriotaddictdeals.com. Matthew, did you have a chance to get that big, beautiful plane for your desk?
I don't have that one yet. I do want to get it. I also have an Air Force One smaller plane, but I love aviation, so I definitely need to get that plane. I know you did. You also have to bring it here into the studio. It's going to be great. We should display it on the desk here, because you know how at the Oval Office, President Trump has the the newer look of that Air Force One right there in front of those world leaders. It's pretty cool stuff, isn't it?
You have to love it, and I'm excited to see what will be on display right behind us. We have a prime-time seat here right off of Constitution Avenue in the heart of the mall, in the heart of our beautiful federal city, and really not far from the White House, where President Trump is really working overtime, as we know, responding to what took place over the course of the last few days with Israel striking Iran. We're watching that closely, as well as this president is all about peace through strength. He wants peace amongst nations. And we know from the Kennedy Center coverage the other night, he said just that. I want the Iranian people to flourish. And they have this opportunity now because I want to trade with them. I want to bring back that great Persian culture. And we'll see what happens over the coming weeks and months in regards to this conflict.
Exactly. So a lot of news going on out there, to your point, Robert, because, you know, during the week, Monday through Friday, of course, you and I are covering a lot of things going on around the country, especially in Washington, D.C., with all the press events with Carolyn Levitt, or if it's President Trump signing an executive order, or coming up, as you know, the president will be going to Canada for the G7 and then to a NATO summit in Netherlands. But this weekend, you know, I want to keep it real. Let's keep it real patriotic in the sense of, you know, why are you proud to be an American? Let's talk about that real quick, because it's something that I think the people that are watching right now are just saying, you know what, I'm glad that our Army has made it to 250 years, and we have many more to come, of course. Your thoughts just about the fact that you're there and you're going to witness this history with President Trump and many others.
It's opportunity. I think in one word, opportunity, because it's freedom, it's liberty, it's the foundational principles. When John Adams and Ben Franklin are in that room with Thomas Jefferson and they're putting pen to paper the Declaration of Independence, really a letter to King George III at the time, saying that every single human being is endowed with certain inalienable rights. The right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. It really is the fulfillment of the 13th century Magna Carta that was written from the same Western civilization, the same United Kingdom, and those who were dialoguing centuries earlier. What they brought together, and I believe God brought these men together, were the best things about every single government. We can reflect on this in the art, the architecture, the things you find in Washington, D.C. Many of them you can actually enjoy on the house as well. Many of the museums here free of charge. So be sure to bring your families here. We saw a lot of families flying in for their summer vacations to take in this big, beautiful moment, this historical moment. And you think back to Lexington and Concord in April of 1775, 250 years ago, when the Army was born with that commission of General George Washington to lead the charge by the Second Continental Congress. How brave these men were, because a lot of them had experience from the French and Indian War, but many were marksmen because you had to be in the frontier life, which frontier life back then was simply 25 miles west of Boston, Massachusetts, a big port city, continues to this day, of course. But you look at all of that, they were able to take on the most powerful kingdom in the entire world, the most powerful army and navy. So God was on this side of this constitutional republic, bringing these ideas together that really cleared the way and gave birth to a freedom, liberty movement that stands the test of time to this very day.
It's so true. And I'm just thinking about all of the soldiers that will be marching in that parade behind you, the helicopters we may see above, the tanks, all that kind of equipment there. It's going to be a very awesome moment, a very patriotic moment. I was watching some patriotic videos this morning, and I do that on my downtime sometimes. But I was watching a Toby Keith video about the U.S. Army and all that, and I was just thinking about all of the people out there, including my grandpa who served in the Army. He was a sergeant in the U.S. Army, and you know, this is something that really brings up just the genesis of what this is all about, because as President Trump said, without this army back in 1775, we would not have the freedom we have today. And so the respect, you know, that we as a people are going to watch here today, and then you, Robert, being there, what's that going to be like? I also heard that the Thunderbirds might be doing a flyover, even though they're part of the Air Force. Still pretty awesome stuff. All right, looks like we're having some audio technical difficulties. Let's do this. In the meantime, Pete Hegseth, the great Secretary of Defense, had an awesome video that was sent out by the White House pretty recently. So, Director, could we go to that video in the meantime while we get ready to go back to Washington, D.C. for this 250th birthday party, this celebration of the United States Army. So, again, the White House, within the 24/7 news cycle, posted a great video. Director, do we have that ready? All right, let's go to that right now.
This year marks the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, a legacy born in turmoil, uncertainty, and nearly insurmountable odds. 2.5 centuries ago, thousands of citizen soldiers answered freedom's call. At a moment when tyranny tried to dim the spirit of an emerging nation, our first heroes forged an institution whose strength, sacrifice, and enduring resolve have come to define our republic. The Army's story begins in the spring of 1775, 1 month after the Massachusetts militia humbled British regulars at the battles of Lexington and Concord. America's colonial leaders assembled in Philadelphia for the Second Continental Congress. The meeting had been called to address long-standing grievances with Britain's imperial government. But the recent bloodshed at Lexington and Concord fundamentally changed the purpose of the gathering. Until then, many colonists had hoped for reconciliation with their mother country. It was increasingly clear that freedom would not be possible without war. The reasons for a united resistance were growing. Among other offenses, the British Parliament had earlier passed the Intolerable Acts, which had closed the port of Boston to all trade, forced colonists to house and feed British soldiers, and restricted the colonists' right to public assembly, allowed British officials to be tried in England instead of the colonies, and effectively put Massachusetts under martial law. In April of 1775, they fired on American colonists. By the end of May 1775, Patriot leaders were calling up militia in all 13 colonies. They stockpiled guns, ammunition, artillery, and military supplies. Some militia units drilled every day. The battles of Lexington and Concord proved that Minutemen could push back British forces. Those early battles also proved that the colonies needed a united fighting force with a clear chain of command. Mindful of the perilous road ahead, the delegates to the Second Continental Congress debated establishing an army. Letters from citizens in Massachusetts were read aloud before the assembly, recounting British acts of tyranny and calling neighboring colonies for assistance. As the Provincial Convention of Massachusetts wrote in a letter to the Continental Congress on June 2nd, quote, "We tremble at having an army established here without a civil power to provide for and control them." Having received reports that British troops would soon arrive in great numbers in New York, the Continental Congress directed that if the British were to commit hostilities and invade private property, the inhabitants should defend themselves and their property and repel force by force. Ultimately,
And welcome back to Washington, D.C. We're off of Constitution Avenue. As you can see, beautiful parade getting ready to take place this evening at 6:30. So stay with us here on the right side of history for all of this unbridled access to your big military parade. We haven't had one since 1991 when President George H.W. Bush was in office, at least right here in the federal city of Washington, D.C. You could see the stands are getting filled up now, and more people in line dating back. We were way back there around 12:30, 1 o'clock when we came in with the media. And people lining up already then for this wonderful celebration. Somewhat of a back and forth forecast today. It's supposed to rain, and then it gets pushed back and back and back with all of that. Some sunshine coming in, but some clouds as well. So it's kind of this back and forth taking place. Now, President Trump said, rain or shine, it's happening unless there's imminent danger of lightning and such. And then we will take cover, don't worry, because we're actually somewhat covered by trees here off of Constitutional Avenue. Now, we're expecting as well today around 200,000 people to come to this beautiful parade. Now, some were ticketed, some do not have tickets, and now we see people actually coming onto the mall. I can get this per view. Unfortunately, we turned the camera if we could, but we're right in the pole center of these stands, so a little bit hard to see what's going on behind the camera, but I have a set of eyes here, so I'll share with you, the people, what's taking place. And the Washington Monument there looking just glorious as ever. And Mr. Director and I were talking about how if you look closely when you go to the Washington Monument, if you visit Washington, D.C., first, it's actually shorter than it was initially supposed to be because it actually had delayed construction during the Civil War conflict. And there's actually different color brick right around the middle of that. You'll see it up close, especially on a sunshiny day. And we saw that earlier. So that was really great to catch all that, reflect on the great history of this beautiful city, this city that is really just the most beautiful in all of the land. Perhaps my favorite city. Always great to look at the history here and what the business of our government does on a daily basis, a government that you put into place for the beautiful constitutional republic that is now 249 years young, just about, on the 4th of July. Of course, this week we are celebrating really what begins a Jubilee year, America 250. Happy birthday, Army, and happy birthday to President Trump, 79 years young today. He said that I don't want it to be focused on my birthday, but we'd be remiss not to say happy birthday, Mr. President, who helped organize this beautiful parade. And he'll be right over my right-hand shoulder there, the presidential box. You see the seal of the president there and some tanks right in front of that. So I'm excited to see this big, beautiful parade today, as we'd like to thank our sponsors here on the right side of history, Colonial Metals. Before you tune out, just ask yourself, why is China dumping U.S. bonds? Why are they grabbing primetime farmland? And why are they rolling out their new digital currency? Look, I hate the doom talk as much as you do, but there's just a reality of gold and silver, those tangible metals that can make the most difference for you and for your retirement and your savings. But it's pretty clear that Communist China is plotting a financial Pearl Harbor if we don't focus on what's taking place in the world. They will pull the plug on the dollar, and they'll devastate your IRA, your 401k, your savings. But President Trump is this financial genius. We know that to be true because he's letting retirement savers like you protect your life savings with gold, 100% tax-free. The one inflation-proof asset that has survived the fall of currencies. And when you call the trustworthy experts at Colonial Metals Group, 866-317-2159, or visit freegoldguide.com/RSBN, you'll receive your free 2025 gold guide. And this will bulletproof all of your savings. So again, freegoldguide.com/RSBN, 866-317-2159. Plus, you'll stand to receive $7,500 in free silver. Don't delay. Call today. Once again, 866-317-2159, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. And while you're protecting your financial future, perhaps there's something more important than taking care of your health. And President Trump just recently signed a new executive order to lower prescription drug costs and prices for you and your family. This is a major step in the right direction, but All Family Pharmacy is not waiting around. Right now, they're giving you 20% off through June 30th, so Americans can start saving right away. They offer the essential medications, including ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, and even your daily prescriptions, all with a doctor's prescription included. No insurance, no waiting room, just fast, easy access to the things you need, including emergency medical kits, antibiotics, 200 essential medications. Yes, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, among others. All Family Pharmacy works overtime with licensed doctors and ships directly to your door. If drug prices are finally coming down, this pharmacy is already leading the charge and helping people stay prepared. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use 20% off right now, code RSBN20, RSBN20, 20% off now through June 30th. So a great deal. About 2 weeks to go on that. So get on that now and stock the medicine cabinet. Then you can enjoy your summer. Go on vacation, come to your nation's capital, enjoy everything it has to offer. Always a pleasure to be here with you on the right side of history. If you're just tuning in at 412 Eastern, I'm Robert McNeely. We have unbridled access and coverage on Constitution Avenue of America 250, this military parade brought to you by President Trump and the administration and our great Army and military. Happy birthday to the Army, 250 years young, Army strong. It is them we are celebrating today. As you'll see tanks, you'll see military equipment, you will see really a star-spangled gala right here on the streets of your nation's capital. And people are filing in already. They've been lining up really quite long lines that we saw getting in here. We were hoping to have some beautiful interviews outside, but sometimes with Secret Service, with TSA, the way that they're keeping us all safe so we can enjoy ourselves today. Thank you to our local police, the Metropolitan Police here in D.C., the Secret Service, and, of course, our military that is very involved in this. You will see through the generations all of the different uniforms, the different materials, the equipment, everything that's kept you safe and proud to be an American. As a lot is happening in the world right now, with this administration, promises made, promises kept. We know how hard this president is working on a daily basis to make America great again. And I'd like to read a proclamation for this beautiful Flag Day. On June 14th, 1777, a banner of red, white, and blue was woven into history when the Second Continental Congress passed the first flag resolution, this making our beloved Stars and Stripes the official flag of the emerging republic. This was Betsy Ross's flag. This Flag Day and National Flag Week, we pause to revere the star-spangled emblem of our freedom. And we honor the nearly 250 years of valor, sacrifice, and patriotism it has gloriously inspired. In the summer of 1777, more than 2 years into the Revolution, and nearly 1 year after the American colonies declared their independence from Great Britain, the need for unity, strength, and national identity was essential. Remember, we were 13 different colonies arguing and struggling to unite, but ultimately, General George Washington, the first Continental Congress president, John Hancock, who served and helped to put General Washington in that role, he was calling for unity. Same with the Adams cousins, John and Samuel, among many other wonderful statesmen like the great Benjamin Franklin. On June 14th, the Congress convened to adopt a momentous resolution that galvanized the colonies under a majestic and commanding insignia and proclaimed the flag of the United States be of 13 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. In the midst of the revolution, the emblem of our freedom was born, and the mightiest symbol of our sovereignty and justice ever conceived by human hands was sown into existence. For nearly 250 years, Old Glory has provided and presided over every chapter of American stories and our freedom. It gallantly flew as General George Washington crossed the Delaware, as President Abraham Lincoln spoke at Gettysburg, and as American forces raised it on the summit of Iwo Jima and in the jungles of Vietnam. And then it waved from the moon on July 20th of 1969 and rose from the ashes, many of us remember, at Ground Zero on September 11th of 2001. Time and again, it has been valiantly defended by patriots when extremist bands of anti-American agitators have sought to desecrate and destroy it. Through every trial and triumph, the American flag has stood as an enduring symbol of courage, unity, and the unwavering belief that nothing will ever stand in the way of our beloved homeland, our heritage, our history, and our values. So this week, as we pause in grateful allegiance to our beautiful flag, we pray for God's continued providence and protection. May the red, white, and blue forever reign over the greatest nation in the history of the world, and may it always prevail over those who seek to tear it down. To commemorate the adoption of our flag, the Congress, by joint resolution, approved on August 3rd of 1949 as amended in state statute, designated June 14th of each year as Flag Day, and requested that the president issue an annual proclamation calling for its observance and for the display of all the flags in the United States and all federal government buildings to celebrate this in a glorious manner. The Congress also requested by joint resolution on June 9th of 1966, as amended by state statute, that the president issue annually a proclamation designating the week in which June 14th occurs as National Flag Week, and calling upon all its citizens to display the flag during that week. Now, therefore, I, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2025 as Flag Day, and the week starting June 8th, 2025 as National Flag Week. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand this 13th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2025, and the independence of the United States of America, the 249th. Signed, Donald John Trump. And again, it's also President Trump's birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. President. We know you've downplayed that this week. Given Flag Week celebrations and Flag Day, 250 years of our big, bold, beautiful Army. But happy birthday, sir. We look forward to celebrating with you in moments from now from that grand stand. Thank you to our sponsors here on the right side of history, Cousin T's. Folks, this is one of the best that's out there, and we're pumped to share Cousin T's pancakes. Makes me hungry for breakfast, for dinner. Do any of you do that? I know I love doing that. It's a lot of fun. When the woke mob canceled Aunt Jemima, Cousin T said, "Not on my watch. We're going to celebrate our values." So they launched a new food brand. It's all about the American dream, family and hard work, and real food that stays true to our values. Cousin T's pancakes are for every American. Gluten-free for those who need it. Maha-approved protein mix to keep you strong. Keto-friendly for those low-carb fans. And a fried chicken mix that's pure comfort. Talk about a combo. Their sweet honey combined warms the heart. And Trump victory pancakes? I think that's a great idea for Flag Week. A bold stack that tastes just like freedom. Pair it with 100% pure maple syrup made right here in America. Cousin T's rich all-American coffee for a breakfast that's red, white, and true. Visit CousinTees.com. So that's CousinTS.com. And use code RSBN for 20% off your first order. Grab your mix. Brew some coffee. Keep the American dream thriving at breakfast. It's a good one, let me tell you. And now a great one after you make that breakfast for dinner. MyPillow.com/RSBN. A great way to enjoy a lovely night, and then you can get ready for that next day. I got to tell you, ever since I switched to the original MyPillow and all of those exclusive special deals from Mr. Mike Lindell himself, the great patriot, I got the sleep necessary so I can come on here and talk about American history, talk about my esteemed colleague Matthew Alvarez in studio about this great experiment, and bring you a live desk and these amazing rallies and military parades that you really won't find anywhere else, or at least with the same enthusiasm. So the exclusive deal right now from MyPillow.com/RSBN, $39.98, a great value. It's the MyPillow 2.0 with the American flag pullover cover. You'll absolutely love this. This is fantastic.
So you could take that pillow around, especially if you're traveling. And that's what's so convenient about my pillow, is that it can get really tiny and fit into some of the smallest spaces and smallest bags. I've taken it on the road myself, and it's great in the hotel room. It's great at home as well. So visit mypillow.com/RSBN with hundreds of items to choose from. Thank you to Mike Lindell, the purveyor of free speech, defender of election integrity, and hey, maybe he'll run for governor of Minnesota. Let's see what happens there. Mr. Mike Lindell, thank you for your incredible friendship. And stick with us here. This parade's going to start at 6:30 Eastern with our friends here on the Risers throughout the media here, and we're right off of Constitution Avenue. President Trump will be just to my right-hand side, and the beast is right there. There's tanks out there, so stick with us on Bridled Access to the great military parade. Happy birthday, Army. We'll be right back with you. Stick with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network for this special report from Washington, D.C. as we get ready to celebrate 250 years of our U.S. Army. Looking forward to seeing the parade, the fireworks, the president, as it is Patriot Day in America. So we have Flag Day today. We have President Trump's birthday. And then, of course, the U.S. Army now 250 years young as we get ready to see this huge parade there in Washington, D.C. You know, during the week, a lot of news coverage obviously happens. There's a 24/7 news cycle even on the weekend. But it's nice to pause today and nice to see all of you guys watching right now live, wherever you're watching, including Rumble out there and so many social platforms, as we get ready to kind of witness history where there's this celebration, a parade for our Army. You know, President Trump, when he said it just a few days ago at Fort Bragg, he said, this week we remember that we only have a country because we first had an army. So much history, of course, as we get ready to see this huge parade a little bit later. We're going to go back out to Robert McNeily in just a minute. All of this brought to you by a number of great sponsors, including Republican Red Winery. This year marks, of course, as I just mentioned, that 250 years of the United States Army. And Republican Red Winery is raising a glass to heroes who've defended our freedom since 1775. You see the great bottle of wine right there. From the battlefields of the Revolution to the front lines of today, the Army has defended the liberty and freedom we all hold dear. To commemorate this historic milestone, Republican Red Winery has created a limited edition wine that salutes our soldiers, past, present, and future. It's bold, it's 100% American made, and it's the first wine in a series raising funds to support our veterans. So you can stock up now for Independence Day, military reunions, or if you want to have an American barbecue out there, of course, something like having some of this great wine from Republican Red. You can order your bottle today at republicanred.com, because 250 years of freedom deserves more than a toast. It deserves a legacy. So here's to 250 more. Republican Red Winery, bold wine for brave Americans, only at republicanred.com. Also, another great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, a brand new sponsor, Bearskin. It's the world's only 10-pocket tactical hoodie. I was seeing a lot of ads online about this over the past couple months, and I saw the hoodie there, and I'm like, I want to get one of those. Well, Bearskin actually sent us one, so we have the hoodie right here. So check it out. This is good stuff. I tried it on yesterday. This thing fits great. And then on top of that, when it gets stormy outside, you might as well get this. You put this right on top of that hoodie as well. So say you're fishing out there or hiking or boating, or in my case, over the past 20 some odd years, reporting live from various places when it was inclement weather. This is the kind of product, seriously, you want to see. This is the stuff that's great out there for you. So all you have to do is check it out. Unlock 60% off by texting RSBN to 36912, 36912. All you do is text RSBN to that number there. And they have a number of colors that I want to tell you about. They have hunter green, which is kind of cool today because it is the military hunter green, the reason why I wore the green tie as well. The stealth black, they have navy blue, ocean teal, high-vis orange, high-vis yellow. So this is the place to go for this kind of gear. And when you text that RSBN to the 36912, you'll get that 60% off coupon there. You just click on that link and you're off to the races with this great product. So all you have to do is text 36912. So again, two great sponsors here at Right Side. We have a number of them today. Of course, Robert talking about a number of them as well. As we get ready to head back out to Constitution Avenue, we're seeing a couple of the larger Cadillac limousines driving by there. So let's go to Washington, D.C., where RSBN host Robert McNeily is live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in right here in conservative media on the right side of history. Let's go to Washington right now.
Welcome back to Washington, D.C. Constitution Avenue, as the Beast is out there ready to go. And we see the tanks. It's just doing a quick turn right now. That's a Secret Service Jeep Grand Cherokee right now, a great American vehicle. So this is about to be underway. Happy birthday, Army. We are Army strong. Our great military, 250 years young. It was those first shots at Lexington and Concord, roughly 25 miles or so west of the epicenter of the conflict between the colonists and the United Kingdom, the British military, where you saw the Tea Party happen, the OG Tea Party way back when in the 1770s. This 18th century conflict led to liberty being born in the United States of America. 13 colonies coming together to make a difference for all of us from sea to shining sea. We now are standing on the shoulders of patriots as we celebrate what has not been done in roughly since 1991. President George H.W. Bush, the last one to host a great military parade in the federal city. And what a time to celebrate it on this Flag Day. It also happens to be the birthday of President Trump. And as I mentioned on the show earlier, happy birthday, Mr. President. He has downplayed it this whole week, but always great to recognize his birthday as well. And I'm sure he'll have a smile on his face. Over my right-hand shoulder, if you're just tuning in, you'll see the presidential box and the tanks surrounding that. And as far as my eye can see, people still getting together now, coming through Secret Service, TSA as well. And they're out on the mall where I can see. Unfortunately, we can't take the camera and put it behind us because we're just surrounded right here on the press booth. But great people. But we're seeing, we have other shots of other people as well. Thank you, Mr. Producer. So you can get a lay of the land of what's taking place in this beautiful military parade. And Metropolitan Police going by, Secret Service as well. President Trump's policies are clearly delivering wins across America. Across the country, Americans are celebrating a surge of victories as President Donald J. Trump bold American vision. His America First agenda, in fact, revitalizes communities and restores American greatness. Here are just a few of those triumphs on the front pages of many different newspapers this week. The Detroit News talking about GM moving $4 billion in production to the United States. You know, they've served Michigan, the great Michigander, since 1873, a great newspaper to catch up with, and that was right on the front page talking about the Michigan revitalization. If you caught our coverage late April with the UAW workers coming and celebrating President Trump up there in the 100 days of celebrating his first 100 days back in office in Detroit, Michigan, the Detroit News celebrated the landmark announcement by General Motors that it will invest $4 billion in American manufacturing as it shifts its vehicle production from Mexico to the United States, including in the Wolverine state of Michigan. GM joins a host of other automakers in expanding their U.S.-based production as President Trump aggressively pursues his America First trade policies. The Arizona Republic has said for the first time in decades the border is silent. This was on their front page this week on June 11th, just a few days ago. And regulators face a GOP primary showdown, so testing what will take place in 2026, but also 2028. An exciting time in electoral politics. In Phoenix, Arizona, the Arizona Republic heralded a historic milestone. The border is secure for the first time in decades. This is thanks to President Trump's unwavering dedication to national security. Illegal border crossings have plummeted to nearly zero level sums as the Trump administration removes scores of dangerous criminal illegal immigrants from our streets, finally restoring public safety. The Journal News stating that gas prices have dropped to the lowest in this June, lowest level since 2021. Think about that. In Hamilton, Ohio, the Hamilton Daily News highlighted gas prices with their lowest since June. And this is dating back all the way to 2021. Amazing results happening across the country with similar stories playing out across our nation. President Trump unleashes American energy production. After Americans saw the cheapest gas over Memorial Day weekend, the nationwide average for regular gas remains 33 cents a gallon below where it was 1 year ago today. So a lot to celebrate, not only birthday parties today, but also gas prices going down. The Lebanon Daily News in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, touted Amazon's $20 billion investment to expand its cloud computing infrastructure in the state. This creates at least 1,250 new high-skilled jobs. It's another result of President Trump's relentless push to establish the United States as a global leader in artificial intelligence and technological innovation. And we know that Vice President J.D. Vance was in France for that AI summit, saying we should not fear AI, but we should use it in what's good. And even Pope Leo XIV calling this out, the name he took from his predecessor in the 19th century, Pope Leo XIII, spoke for the dignity of workers and a populist movement that was happening in those times prior to the Great War. We see something similar now with technological advancements and how the dignity of human life can be protected and sadly exploited by what's on the horizon. Micron announces second semiconductor plant in Boise, Idaho. The Idaho Statesman, what a great name for a newspaper, covered Micron Technology's $200 billion investment in its U.S.-based manufacturing and production of advanced memory chips, and this includes $30 billion for construction of a second chip fabrication facility in a state as it onshores production of its advanced DRAM technologies from Taiwan for the first time. And think about this. Why do you think that the Chinese Communist Party is creating war games and lawfare and trying to intimidate the great Taiwanese people? Because they love freedom. They wave that American flag, just as we are celebrating today, Flag Day in America. Happy birthday to the United States Army, 250 years young. You can see those banners out there as people are filling in. America 250. This is really the beginning of a Jubilee year leading from the birth of our United States Army, first led, commissioned by the Second Continental Congress under John Hancock to put General George Washington in place to serve this great nation. And we know what happened in turn. George Washington becoming the first president of the United States, the only president to not live right down the street here at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but aptly known now as the father of this great nation. And there are special places reserved for him, not only in the East Room of the White House, perhaps my favorite portrait of his from 1789 when he took that oath of office to become the first commander-in-chief, but when he was the general, and in that traditional stance and place in the West Wing, it stands over that mantle, that fireplace. AutoPen put FDR above that spot, but that's dutifully reserved for President and General George Washington. Thank you to our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, Colonial Metals Group. Before you tune out, which I hope you don't on this beautiful Saturday, because we have a big, beautiful parade happening in less than 2 hours from now. Why is China now dumping U.S. bonds and grabbing prime American farmland and rolling out its new digital currency? Look, I don't like the doom and gloom talk. We don't want to have that today on this beautiful birthday party, the celebration happening momentarily. But it's pretty clear that the Communist Chinese Party wants to plot a financial Pearl Harbor that could pull the plug on the U.S. dollar. It would devastate your IRAs, your 401ks, and your savings. So President Trump is that financial genius who's fighting back, but even with him in the White House, how are you going to protect your retirement with life savings and gold? 100% tax-free. The one inflation-proof asset truly is the one that has survived the fall of currencies. It's gold. It's silver. And when you call the trustworthy folks over at Colonial Metals Group, 866-317-2159, or visit freegoldguide.com/RSBN, you'll receive your free 2025 gold guide to gold and silver, tangible metals that can make a massive difference for you and for your retirement savings. Bulletproof your wealth. Stand to receive as well $7,500 in free silver. So think about that for a moment as you visit freegoldguide.com/RSBN or call 866-317-2159 as we await less than 2 hours from now the military parade to take place right here on Constitution Avenue. I'm excited for it, and you should be too, as we'd like to thank All Family Pharmacy. President Trump just recently signed a new executive order to lower prescription drug prices. This is a major step in the right direction, but with All Family Pharmacy, they are not waiting around. They're the first online pharmacy really going at this to bring down costs for you so you can make sure there's savings for your family. Now through June 30th, we got 2 weeks to go, 20% off. RSBN 20, that's the code, RSBN 20, 20% off all of the orders. They offer over 200 essential medications, including ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, and even your daily prescriptions, all with a doctor's prescription included. No insurance, no waiting room, no hassle, just peace of mind for you and your family members. Comes right to your door in as little as 24 hours from when you order. If drug prices are finally coming down, this pharmacy is leading the charge for the American people, helping people stay prepared. Allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use code RSBN20 and save 20% off now through June 30th. And I'm already seeing friends in the crowd there. A dear friend of mine from the Peach State of Georgia. She's been on the show a couple of times. She has a new position as the director of CISA, so it's Cyber Intelligence Securities and Affairs. That is the one, the only Marcy McCarthy, the former chairwoman of DeKalb County GOP, just feet from me, taking it all in as she's recently moved to the federal city. We love her commentary right here on the right side of history, and maybe over a short commercial break, we might be able to get to her and see if she can come up for an interview or two, as we might actually get some interviews from cabinet members as well. But that position directly appointed by President Trump himself. So congratulations, Madam Director Marcy McCarthy, and the countless amazing Americans who are bringing subject matter expertise, to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and the surrounding buildings. Mr. Director and I enjoyed perusing yesterday, a lovely dinner near our hotel, but also enjoying the sights and sounds of Washington, D.C., and taking in the Gothic architecture or even the Renaissance buildings, some of that postmodernist. I don't know about those buildings so much, but sometimes as you're going down Pennsylvania, you see almost this confusion of the traditional versus the progressive, and it's always a hoot to take it all in this beautiful federal city of ours that was envisioned by those who shaped this great constitutional republic, nearly 250 years young. Again, a Golden Jubilee year beginning today, Flag Day, Flag Week, June 14th, 2025, 250 years of the United States Army. So what you'll see behind me here is, with 200,000 people that are expected to be here today, a big, beautiful parade route, and President Trump's viewing tent is right there. You see the seal of the President of the United States. There are tanks out there. The Beast was out there earlier. I'm sure it will come back, and we'll see everything this has to offer. Generations and over 2 centuries of military equipment and gear, and the uniforms that helped save you in countless conflicts. Whether it was the first shots at Lexington and Concord in April of 1775 to a terrible civil war that took place in the 19th century, the Mexican-American War, which, interestingly enough, certain influencers protesting that California is really not America somehow with what took place over the last few days. Yes, it is. Perhaps they should read some of the treaties and the $15 million that America settled with Mexico when we defeated them in the Mexican-American War. That is now the United States of America, from sea to shining sea. And regardless of your creed, your color, your sexual preference, your background, you can rise up in this great nation and pursue what you want to do. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the embodiment, the envision of these great founders. If you can't find what you want to do now in 2025 America, then there's no hope for you. It's interesting because Mr. Director and I, as we were coming into this big, beautiful federal city, just yesterday flying into Washington Reagan, we encountered one of those people, those communist revolutionaries driving our Uber, and it was interesting, did not recognize us, but talked about things like the Communist Rifle Association, the CRA. I didn't even know that existed. So apparently communists also love the Second Amendment, but for some reason they hate law and order. They hate the constitutional principles of this country. So that was kind of one really mind-boggling for me, but always interesting as a journalist for us to ask these questions. It was a lot of fun to have some time with this individual, this communist. We wish him well, but always interesting to dialogue with those on the far left philosophy as we are looking at a beautiful celebration today. We're all smiles here in the federal city of Washington, D.C. And Mr. Director, can you repeat that sponsor one more time for me? Thank you so much, Tax Network USA. This is a great go-to, and if you missed that April 15th deadline, no better time than to reach out to my friends at Tax Network USA. It may have passed, that was April 15th, and that deadline, you still owe back taxes. The IRS is ramping up enforcement. Every day you wait only makes things worse. So with over 5,000 new tax items and liens being filed daily, and tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, the IRS is applying pressure at levels we have not seen in years. Increased administrative scrutiny means collections are moving fast, very, very quickly. So the good news is there's still time for Tax Network USA to help you. Self-employed or a business owner, don't worry. Even your books can be a mess, and the great Tax Network USA professionals specialize in cleaning up financial chaos fast and getting you back on track. Even after the deadline, it's not too late to regain control. Your consultation is completely free, and acting now could stop penalties, threatening letters, and surprise levies before they escalate. So call 800-958-1000. That's 800-958-1000. Or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. You may have missed that April 15th deadline, but you haven't run out of options. Let Tax Network USA, my friends over there, help you. and before the IRS makes the next move. A very smart thing to do today, tnusa.com/RSBN. While you're at it, our sponsors at Patriotic Deals, we're finally able to produce more of those limited edition Trump Force planes. These planes are all handmade, and they take months to produce. When I purchased mine, it took months and months to get back on track because these are all handcrafted. These are amazing memorabilia items. They are only able to bring back 100 planes in this run. That will run out quick. Trust me on this. They are still here for you, though, at Patriotic Deals. So get your hands on limited edition collector's price pieces Trump plane today. Go to Patriotic Deals, and save with 20% off. That's code RSBN20. Code RSBN20 for 20% off. PatrioticDeals.com. It's your go-to for the Trump plane, and I wonder if there will be a plane or two today. What do you think about that, Mr. Director? Will there be a plane today on this beautiful route off of Constitution Avenue to celebrate 250 years of the United States Army? And again, I know he's downplayed it this entire week, but happy birthday, Mr. President. 79 years young. Excited to be with you here today and to cover all of this. And if you're watching right now, before you come down the parade, sir, your box is looking quite nice with the seal of the President of the United States displayed boldly and beautifully there. Also some tanks going by. We saw the Beast earlier. Also Metropolitan Police, Secret Service, and some of the stands now filling up. Some people did have tickets for this event, and then others are lining up just to catch a glimpse of the big, bold, beautiful military parade coming on by on this rather hot, humid day in Washington, D.C., characteristic for summertime in the federal city. But we hope that you are enjoying it, maybe perhaps with a cold summertime brew or an Arnold Palmer or your drink of choice, as we are drinking lots of H2O to enjoy and stay hydrated for you, the American people. Love to get some feedback from our good friend, my esteemed colleague, Matthew Alvarez, in studio, so we can have a talk back on some of the things just happening in this world right now. It is an exciting time. It's a scary time as well. And our thoughts and prayers are with our friends in Minnesota because, again, we stand very firm here at RSBN. Although we're celebrating, we're jovial today, there was a shooting, someone impersonating a police officer and taking the lives of the former Speaker of the House in Minnesota and her spouse, and then also a state senator injured as well as his spouse. There's no room for political violence, period, on either side in any way, shape, or form. We solve our problems here in America at the ballot box. And our great viewers, I know you believe in this because you did that on November 5th of last year, peacefully and patriotically, putting Donald John Trump back into the White House. He's only the second man to achieve 2 non-consecutive terms. That was after Grover Cleveland in the 19th century, the 22nd and 24th president, respectively. And this gentleman, Donald John Trump, number 45 and 47, excited to be here at this big, beautiful parade. A parade that has not taken place since 1991. And magnificent Matthew Alvarez, my friend, can you believe we haven't had a parade like this in the federal city since 1991 when George H.W. Bush was president?
No, that's wild. It's really wild to think about. But I'm glad that we have a commander-in-chief in President Trump that is, you know, a man of the people, right? A common sense leader, someone that resonates with all of us. And then on top of that is an outsider. Let's just highlight that fact, Robert, the fact that we have someone that's an outsider who really won, let's be honest, 3 elections in a row, even though we saw what happened in 2020. But the fact that he's an outsider is really awesome.
And we've seen those outsiders who have really shaped this constitutional republic. They mostly come from our military, which we're really celebrating today, the birthday of the Army. But think about General George Washington, General Dwight D. Eisenhower. These were men who never backed down and were not ensured to end up leading a great nation, especially George Washington, as he helped create this great constitutional republic. But gentlemen of great bravery, and it's very clear how brave President Donald Trump is after the lawfare, the fake impeachments, and then the assassination attempts. God has his hand on the Trump family. I think there's no question about that.
100%. And we've seen him overcome so many things politically, personally, just so many things. And now he's leading the way with a great cabinet makes me think about people like our founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, fast forward a bit to Abraham Lincoln, and to think that Donald Trump's name is literally along the same sentence as those founders because of how great President Trump really is. If we really look back at what's going on here, this is history in the making, isn't it, Robert?
Well, it's amazing to watch this. As I was discussing with Mr. Director, just enjoying the last few hours of this beautiful federal city, going by the Commerce Building, the Treasury Building. Hey, shout out to Alexander Hamilton, the first Treasury Secretary, and the amazing life he had as an orphan coming from the Bahamas to work in New York City and climb that ladder of success, and for his life to be taken so sadly. Of course, people are on both sides of that controversy. I happen to believe, as a historian myself, that Aaron Burr, the vice president at the time, he ended up regretting shooting Hamilton. But I believe Hamilton was such a great shot that in New York City, I think he purposefully shot over the vice president's shoulder. That's my own personal take on it. I know some would disagree with me there. But you can live that here in Washington, D.C. And some of these buildings, I was talking to Mr. Director about the Rayburn Building, the Cannon Building, where our congressmen, their offices are right by the United States Capitol building. Some of these buildings dating back to the 19th century, if not before that. So living history right here. We actually walked right by Ford's Theater as well, a group going in to see that today, and that's really on F and 10 if you visit Washington, D.C., that corner street there, and it looks like you go back into time, and sadly the location where John Wilkes Booth was successful in killing our 16th Commander-in-Chief.
When you're talking about streets there, you're on Constitution Avenue. Isn't that a perfect street to be on for you and this network, Right Side Broadcasting Network? Just a shout out to all of our viewers who have watched since 2015. We're going on 10 years in television here at Right Side, because at the beginning we saw President Trump's speeches that weren't being shown in its entirety. The crowds weren't being shown, but now we have a news organization not only covering rallies, but now covering conservative news. So what's that like, Robert, that you've stepped into a role here at the network and we're all kind of on the same team on the right side of history?
It's the greatest team out there, and people working overtime to make this all happen. Great producers here. Of course, you, Matthew, your coverage, just outstanding. The way we dive into hosting, anchoring, and giving op-eds on what's taking place in the government that these good people that watch this RSBN network put into place back on November 5th. Now, it's so great because if people are just tuning in now for the first time, we're really a live desk. We were that Trump rally network. We still do that. We have fun with that. This almost feels like a Trump rally to a certain extent from the past decade. And it's all thanks to the vision of Joe Seals and the Seals family that said, hey, people are actually coming to these rallies. This is kind of a cultural phenomenon. And I can give credit where credit's due. We really haven't seen something like this maybe since Theodore Roosevelt. Certain people in history really created a buzz around their name. And I have to say, Barack Obama and Donald Trump included in that mix over the course of, let's say, close to the last 20 years, have we really seen rallies like this? And even Obama really could not hold a candle to President Trump when it came to rally attendance and consistency even to this day.
It makes me think about so many rallies across the country, whether it's Rapid City, South Dakota, or Miami, Florida, or the many rallies in Pennsylvania. Just a shout out to all of you guys that have been to rallies out there or watched them right here on Right Side. We're with you. We understand we the people. We understand the Constitution. We understand freedom. And so that's what you get here at this network. And we look forward to seeing this parade. Robert, some of your thoughts coming up. I mean, more than 6,000 soldiers, 100, military pieces of equipment. We're talking helicopters. And I think the Thunderbirds with the Air Force are actually going to do a flyover too. So this is going to be awesome with the fireworks later too. Your thoughts just about what you're about to witness there?
I've been to air shows. I've always enjoyed the might of our Air Force, our Navy, the flying fighting forces, but this is going to be everything, and specifically a great tribute to our Army as it's their 250th birthday. But I am thrilled about this. I have to pinch myself. The fact that we have this viewing stand right over Constitution Avenue and across from the President of the United States, his box. And we already saw the Beast out here doing some rounds. There's a tank in front of the official seal of the President of the United States. As I mentioned earlier, we're seeing friendly faces. We might get some interviews as well, people filing in with those ticketed items. We're anticipating 200,000 people to be part of this, in addition to what you mentioned, Matthew, just 200,000 viewers, in addition to those 6,000 plus troops in review by the President of the United States. It'll be unlike anything we've seen in American history, mixed with all of the military equipment and the uniforms dating back to those first shots fired at Lexington and Concord in April of 1775, just west of Boston, Massachusetts.
Exactly, and there's so many videos the White House put out and the Army has put out and the DOD, and we've showed them here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. And I saw someone on the chats on, I think it was Rumble, and they were asking, because we aired some of the video of the 250 years anniversary Army video, and you can find that on the White House website, also on Truth Social and X. So really looking at that stage there, Robert, we have a beautiful live shot of it right now. The vantage point is awesome. The two U.S. Army logos, the presidential seal, to your point. And when you really look in the middle, right behind the podium, Robert, you see 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House. It's a great vantage point that we have. Really looking forward to this broadcast. Also, the camera, you didn't see this, Robert, I'm sure, but the camera pointed to somebody that was sitting there. And if memory serves me correctly, that might have been UFC's Dana White sitting in the front row as people are starting to file in. I mean, this is going to be something, as we see the numbers of the amount of people watching right now, you think about the election night and inauguration day, more than 11 million people streamed Right Side Broadcasting Network, Robert. What was that like on November 5th, 2024, when you, sir, called the state of Georgia for President Donald J. Trump?
An extraordinary experience, Matthew, and I'm sure the same for you as you called your home Commonwealth, Pennsylvania, for President Donald Trump and the re-election that sealed him returning to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And we here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, we were the first. We called it, and we beat the legacy media in the process, and it's something to be proud of. And it's not necessarily just about being first, but being right in that call. But we saw the math. We saw what was happening throughout the night. And I remember it like it was yesterday that Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger in the Peach State of Georgia reported that it was insurmountable for then Vice President Kamala Harris to supersede President Trump's victory in Georgia and winning all 7 of those swing states. It's really no surprise, granted, the way he hit that campaign trail. And we saw it when I was with Ashley Brassfield, who is now with Daily Caller. She was with RSBN during our time on the campaign trail. We waited 3 hours in Traverse City because President Trump was doing Joe Rogan. And that might have been that slam dunk. I think back at these moments, and I love your take on this, Matthew Alvarez, about what you thought really was a slam dunk on the campaign, because for a few moments and items for me, first of all, Butler, Pennsylvania, this attempted assassination where we were all frozen in time, it still gives me goosebumps. It still makes me upset to think about that moment. I would say Traverse City following Joe Rogan, and then really that last day on the campaign trail. And we saw the wind was at President Trump's sails, but he worked right through the finish line. And being a veteran of many political campaigns, 2 of my own, that's what you want in a candidate, to push them across that finish line. You don't want to have to be pulling your candidate, Republican or Democrat, because that usually means, it might not work out so well. If you're just gently tapping them across that finish line, giving them that nice breeze, it probably means victory, and we know that did back in November.
Exactly. So there are several moments that come to mind right now. Do you know on this coming Monday, June 16th, it is 10 years since President Trump came down those golden escalators at Trump Tower. So 10 years, the 10-year anniversary is this Monday. So the moment that he went down those golden escalators, all the way through, all the wins, even through 2020, we know what happened there, but all of the wins, all of the fact that he's been an outsider is really, I think, the American people have always been on his side. When I'm talking about the American people, I'm saying the majority of the country. And then specifically, though, 7 days after the Butler, Pennsylvania incident, the terrible incident that happened there, then 7 days later, President Trump goes to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I had to cover that event there in Michigan. And I remember seeing all of the people outside the arena. And this is after we saw what we saw in Butler. And the fact that the people were still out there and not concerned about anything happening, and the fact that they waited, they went inside, and the arena sounded more like a Game 7 overtime thriller win for hockey. When President Trump walked out there with that patch on his ear, I stood there on that podium, just like you have, Robert, just like Megan Kohler, Christina Loren, and so many great people over the years at Right Side. And when I saw him walk to that podium and feel what that was like in that room, I said, man, this guy's winning. He should win another 10 more times. I mean, this is an exciting time and a historic time, isn't it, Robert? This truth and transparency that we see with this White House, we have not seen that in our lifetimes.
And a big thank you to all those who attended these rallies over the course of 2024 and dating back to, Matthew, as you said, Monday, 10 years when they came down from the Golden Escalator, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. So an exciting time for this country, people being involved. And you go back to Butler, in those terrible moments, no one moved. That could have caused a stampede. It could have caused a crisis. It's always been the people who have been attending, who have been the most hopeful, with the most smiles on their face, having the greatest times. And we were just so happy to bring all of that to you and to continue to bring that to you. And someone who brings you some great items, mypillow.com/RSBN, the new exclusive special. President Trump has said this about Mike Lindell. He is the master marketer. And he said that as recent as our time in Michigan when we visited with UAW leaders and people who are from the Wolverine State who've seen such differences over the course in the last few months. President Trump working so well, even with their governor, Gretchen Whitmer, on a number of different items, including shipbuilding on the Great Lakes. But Mike Lindell knows a thing or two about building, especially here in the good old US of A. This exclusive deal, now $39.98. So it's MyPillow 2.0. Also the American flag pullover cover, something that I'm sure you would love for you and yours. And when I switched to MyPillow personally, I just started sleeping better, and I would even bring the MyPillows on business trips and personal vacations just to enjoy in hotel rooms because it was so comfortable, and I got that good night's sleep so I could be productive and strong the following day and present for those loved ones in my life. So go to mypillow.com/RSBN. All of the great deals, hundreds of items presented to you by none other than Mike Lindell, the purveyor of freedom of speech and election integrity, and just a great all-around guy. Maybe he'll run for governor of Minnesota. We'll see what happens there. But mypillow.com/RSBN. Thank you, Mike Lindell. As we'd like to thank Cousin T's. Are you someone who makes pancakes? Now, do you make it for dinner? Sometimes I do that. When the woke mob canceled Aunt Jemima and all of those other great companies that really made a difference in American life on a daily basis, Cousin T said, not on my watch, and decided to launch a food brand that's all about the American dream. Family, hard work, and real food that stays true to our values. Cousin T's pancakes are for every single American, gluten-free for those who need it, Maha-approved protein mix as well, and a low-carb, keto-friendly option for those who are interested. And there's also a fried chicken mix that's a perfect fit for your MAGA weekend. Their sweet honey cornbread warms the heart. And the Trump victory pancakes, oh my gosh, this is just delicious. A bold stack that tastes just like freedom. Pair it with 100% pure maple syrup, and it's made right here in America. So Cousin T's rich all-American coffee for breakfast, red, white, and true. Oh my goodness, I kind of want to go have that right after this parade. Head over to cousintees.com. That's cousints.com, cousintees.com. Use code RSBN for 20% off your order. Grab your mix, brew some coffee, and keep the American dream thriving at breakfast. I'm Robert McNeily. It's a joy to be with you on the Mall, right on Constitution Avenue in the federal city of Washington, D.C. In roughly 90 minutes, a military parade to celebrate USA 250, America's Army, 250 years young. It's also President Trump's birthday. Mr. Matthew Alvarez in studio live in Auburn, Alabama. We're bringing it all to you. Stick with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, special Saturday coverage of America 250.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Good evening. Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network for this special coverage from Washington, D.C. live as everyone is getting ready to check out this parade that's going to start within about an hour and a half from now, but the pre-program may be starting soon as well. So we'll be going back out there live as today is Patriot Day in America. It's Flag Day, of course, President Trump's birthday, but also, of course, the main event, the 250th anniversary, the birthday of the United States Army. Looking forward to seeing this parade, looking forward to celebrating with you. So glad that you're streaming in with us live right now. Wherever you're watching across this country, literally every state represented, usually when you watch live programs here at Right Side, and in some cases, some other countries watch. So shout out to everyone that is watching right now. I know there's a huge 24/7 news cycle of things going on out there, and of course we keep our eyes on all of that, especially during the week and on the weekend. But today, of course, the 250th party for the U.S. Army. Looking forward to seeing it. And President Trump will be seated there right in the middle of that great stage there with the presidential seal. Then way back in the back of that screen there, maybe we could put it up for a full screen if we'd like, but the White House, you can see the White House way to the back of the podium right down the center there. So looking forward to seeing President Trump and also the huge parade. You're talking more than 6,000 U.S. soldiers. You're talking about 100 to 150 different tanks and various equipment, including helicopters. And I think I saw also a Thunderbird flyover, which of course is the Air Force, but still, this is a great grand event for our country, for President Trump in a way too. And again, back to we the people, the majority, huge majority of the country on the side of common sense. We just resonate with President Trump. We know that he's an outsider. He's not one of the establishment guys. So that bar is really set high now for our country, for presidents of the future, to keep freedom, to keep our Constitution intact. And that's what this is about, and that's what we're about here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, on the side of conservative media. So thankful to have freedom in this country still, and that's what this is all about as we celebrate our Army, our 250 years young Army. And wait until we see the 249th birthday party coming up July 4th. And then in Iowa, shout out to those that are watching from that great state, in 2026 will be our 250th birthday party for the United States of America. So a lot going on, and we're watching it, monitoring it, and bringing it to you live. We're going to go back out to Robert McNeily in just a minute. Let's talk about a few of our great sponsors that are providing us all of the wherewithal to be able to do this live broadcast, and including during the week as well. So Republican Red Winery, you're going to see the beautiful bottle of wine right there, saluting 250 years defending our freedom. So Republican Red Winery is raising a glass to the heroes who've defended our freedom since 1775. From the battlefields of the Revolution to the front lines of today, the Army has defended the liberty and freedom we hold dear. So to commemorate this historic milestone, Republican Red Winery has crafted a limited edition wine that salutes our soldiers, past, present, and future. It's bold, it's 100% American made, and it's the first wine in a series raising funds to support our veterans. So you can stock up now for Independence Day or military reunions or just a good old-fashioned American barbecue, listening to some most likely country music. I really like country music, but whatever music you like to listen to at a barbecue, great to have a product like this there. So order your bottle today, republicanred.com, because 250 years of freedom deserves more than a toast. It deserves a legacy. So great sponsor there. Also, Bearskin is an awesome sponsor as well. The world's only 10-pocket tactical hoodie. Again, I've seen a number of these ads. We finally are getting some of the actual product right here as well. So this hoodie, I tried on yesterday, fits really great. And then if you're wearing this, say you're out, maybe you're boating or you're fishing or you're hunting or hiking, or in my case over the years, covering inclement weather, if it starts storming out there, you're going to want to have something like this. This is what it's all about. This bearskin actual jacket, rain jacket that goes over the hoodie. It's a good 1-2 punch combination, and you can get it free shipping right there and 60% off. That's a great, great deal, of course. So text RSBN to 36912. So you just text RSBN in the body of the text, RSBN, to the numbers 36912. So 36912. And you'll get that 60% off. So again, free shipping sent right to you throughout the country. A great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. They have stealth black, navy blue, ocean teal, and other colors. And I thought today's color is quite awesome because this is hunter green, of course, but it's also the United States Army color right here. A great, great product, the hoodie and the jacket. So great sponsors right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, as it's 5:13 on the East Coast. Those of you watching out there on the West Coast, Mountain Time Zone, Central Time Zone, thanks for streaming in. We're with you guys. We're with we the people here in this country, as we all at Right Side and in conservative media want freedom to be the name of the game, want common sense to be what our politicians do. We know that there's still a swamp to be cleared out there in D.C., but President Trump and his team and the cabinet, a great cast of patriots. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Let's go to Washington, D.C. now with Robert McNeily on Constitution Avenue.
Welcome back to Washington, D.C. We are off of Constitution Avenue, and now people are starting to file in. In roughly an hour and 15 minutes, this big, bold, beautiful parade will take place, celebrating centuries of the United States Army and the American military. Yes, it is the Army's birthday. It is President Trump's birthday as well. He will be up in that viewing stand that you might be able to catch just to the side of us there. It's over my right-hand shoulder. and it has the big, beautiful seal of the President of the United States. This is really going to be a showcase of not just military might, but also the generations of different outfits, equipment, everything that's kept us safe in different conflicts, from the Revolution to the terrible Civil War of ours in the 19th century, to the Mexican-American War, also to the Rough Riders. Think about Teddy Roosevelt, the adventures he was on, the ultimate adventure from 1901 to 1909 in the White House, just a block or so from where we're standing at this moment, and also the Great War, World War II, and of course the Korean conflicts, Vietnam, leading up to the Persian Gulf War and the Iraq War and recent conflicts. You'll see all of it on display today, and it makes sense because we haven't had a military parade like this since 1991, when President George H.W. Bush was in the White House, and he wanted to celebrate with our big, bold, beautiful military. A World War II veteran in his own right who was shot down in the conflict with Japan and could have easily lost his life and, in turn, affected 2 presidencies. But he was brave, and his team found him in those oceans overseas. It's an amazing history that we have, and it's worth celebrating. And there is perhaps no better person for this specific mission within the presidency as commander-in-chief, because we've seen the amount of respect that Donald Trump has in reviewing the troops. We saw it this week, this Flag Day week celebration, the Flag Week, that is something that's been prescribed by Congress over the course of the last century, of recognizing Flag Day, that the president must make a proclamation for it and celebrate it, and in turn, that federal buildings Old Glory outside of their beautiful doors. And we are thankful to be here today with you on the right side of history to cover all of it, to celebrate with you this special Saturday coverage of Military Parade Rally in America, America 250. You can see the signs behind me. You can see some of the VIPs coming in on these big, beautiful grandstands. In roughly 40 minutes from now, you're going to hear the blare of music. It's going to be loud in here. It's going to be just like a rally. And as we were coming in off of the mall right near the Washington Monument today, we did hear some of that music being tested out. We had the privilege also of hearing the mic check for one of our dear friends who's been interviewed on the show, Lee Greenwood, the country legend and superstar. God bless the USA. So we expect that today. It should be a wonderful time to celebrate as we see all these people filling in here. Some of these people actually did have tickets for this. So these closer areas you see, and you'll see some of the people, they're actually ticketed seats. And then outside of that, some people just enjoying their time getting through security onto the mall to just catch a glimpse of their favorite president and the military prowess. Again, 250 years young. I'm proud to be an American. I know you are too. We're proud to be on a network that not only covers those big, bold, beautiful rallies, but if you're just tuning in, over the course of the last several months this year, we've been a live desk, a go-to for you to get you access to your government, whether it's congressional hearings to the big and best speeches coming from President Trump and Vice President Vance. It's all there for you to digest, unedited, so you can make up your own mind. You could see the summer soirees. You could see President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump attending the Kennedy Center for Les Miserables. You could sometimes hear my singing as well, because we like to have fun on the network. We like to smile on the network, and we like to bring you hope, because we should have that. These are tough times, but it's all made better by the gentleman servant over there, President Donald Trump, who we'll see today enjoying this big, beautiful parade. In the meantime, our great sponsors here at the network really are making a difference to bring you all of this great coverage, this unbridled access, as I say, on a daily basis to you, the American people. Tax Network USA. Tax Day may have passed, But that is when the real trouble begins if you ignored that deadline. If you missed the April 15th deadline or still owe back taxes, the IRS is ramping up enforcement. And every day you wait only makes things worse for your finances, with over 5,000 new tax liens filed daily. And the tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, the IRS is applying pressure at levels never seen before. Increased administrative bureaucracy might mean collections are moving fast on your doorstep. The good news, though, there's still time for Tax Network USA to help. Self-employed or a business owner, no worries at all. The books might be a mess. Just give my friends a call over at Tax Network USA, tnusa.com/RSBN, because they know how to clean up these books. They know how to handle financial chaos and get you back on track fast. Even after the deadline, it's not too late to regain control. Your consultation is completely free, and acting now could stop penalties and threatening letters and surprise levies before they escalate on you. So call today. Don't delay. 800-958-1000. That's 800-958-1000. Or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. You may have missed that April 15th deadline, as I mentioned earlier, but don't run out of those options. It's okay to reach out to Tax Network USA. Actually, it's not just okay, it's necessary, because they are Patriot experts who want to watch out for you. When you get all that settled, go over to patriotaddictdeals.com. Our sponsors at Patriot Addict are finally able to produce even more of those Trump Force One planes. I've got one myself, and let me tell you, when I purchased mine, it took a while to get these back out because they're handcrafted. They really are a once-in-a-lifetime replica. They are able to bring back about 100 planes in this run, and that will run quick. Very, very fast. So while the planes are still here, get your hands on limited edition collector's pieces from Trump Plane today. PatriotAddictDeals.com. Don't forget to use coupon code RSBN20 for 20% off. Again, that's PatriotAddictDeals.com, RSBN20 for 20% off. These are super limited, all handcrafted, and once they're sold out, you're going to have to wait another 3 to 4 months, and then you might not get that early Christmas present for your Trump MAGA-loving friend at home. So, again, only 100 pieces that have arrived in batch. They're already selling fast. Get yours today. PatriotAddictDeals.com. Use code RSBN20. Save 20% today, as it is getting close to that 5:30 mark. In roughly 30 minutes or so, we will have big, bold, beautiful music for you coming from the loud speakers and screens that are surrounding us here right off of Constitution Avenue. And some of these bleachers now filling up as well. It is nice. It's roughly overcast today. The meteorology report that Christina Loren would do a much better job than me at, given her background as a meteorologist. But it's been back and forth today. We've had a lot of sunshine, but then the overcast or the alleged rainfall that was supposed to happen, now set for 8 o'clock. As President Trump said, rain or shine, we're having this big, bold military parade unless it becomes dangerous. So if there's any lightning, then things would scrap. We don't anticipate that right now. So everyone that came out for that, we will have that here for you. This big, bold, beautiful military parade, America 250. This is really the kickoff of the Jubilee year. We have a Jubilee year going on in Rome as well, so if you want to visit a great pilgrimage or just to tour Rome, Italy, a great time for that. But there's also a Jubilee year happening for America, and that is starting right now. June 14th on Flag Day, 250 years of the United States Army, and you will see generations of Army outfits, equipment, and the military prowess that has saved us against the evils of fascism, communism, incredible empires. We've never backed down. We will never quit. And with a civilian commander-in-chief like Donald Trump, we will be ready to take on any threat. We don't want to use this great power that we have, but every option is on the table. And thank you to President Trump, Vice President Vance, Secretary Hegseth. We've seen recruitment numbers going up in this all-volunteer force. of the United States military, all 6 branches, including that newer branch, the Space Force. An hour from now, this big, bold, beautiful military parade will commence, and President Trump will be over my right shoulder in that box with the seal of the President of the United States. It's right there for you. We saw earlier the Beast driving around Constitution Avenue preparing for everything happening today. And thank you to our military, specifically our Army, on your 250th birthday, from Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts, the shots heard around the world, to right now engagements and protecting people, allies and friends, domestically and internationally, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You do what many would not want to do. Put on that uniform, willing to lay down your lives for a friend. There is no greater love than that. And think about this for a moment. There are only 2 forces that promise that to you, to lay down their lives for you. One, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, to save you from eternal damnation, to be in communion with him forever in heaven. And then the American soldier, to lay down his or her life for your freedom. And we know it with the great Marine veteran, our Vice President, J.D. Vance, the first Marine veteran to be the Vice President of the United States before going to college, The Ohio State University, and then to receive his Juris Doctor, and then on to meet his beautiful wife, our Second Lady, Usha. He served in the military voluntarily in order to defend us post 9/11, to go into Iraq and into Afghanistan, as countless others did, to defend this great constitutional republic. We stand on the shoulders of incredible leadership, mostly from our military. We are the home of the free, the home of the brave, because of those brave souls who are willing to lay down their lives. And I think about Rob Schneider, a dear friend of the show, a great comedian and Trump supporter. He said recently at the Improv in Hollywood, wait a second, so there's this Pride Month going on. If you wish to celebrate, that's up to you. But think about Memorial Day. If you give your life for this country, you get 1 day. Veterans Day. You serve this country, you get 1 day. But then sexual preference, you get an entire month. It's kind of silly, right? Now, you can agree to disagree, or feel free to write in if you wish to opine. But regardless, these great people that put on the uniform and in many cases come back home and serve in our police forces, local or state, because they love their neighbors so deeply. And we stand with them here. We back the blue. We back our military every day on the right side of history on RSBN. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is what we're about. We're about celebrating America. We're about celebrating our constitutional and foundational documents. We're about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. We're about history, and we love the culture. We love sports. We love music, and we have primetime programming that will bring all of that to you, including live desks that go on as early as 5, 6, 7 in the morning. So when you're sipping that cup of coffee on a Monday morning and looking at all of what you have to do within the week, turn on RSBN to get all of the latest unbridled access to your government, inside and outside of the Beltway. And if you have something happening in your neck of the woods, be sure to write into us feedback at rsbn.tv. Yes, feedback at rsbn.tv. Tell us what you think about what's going on in America today. June 14th, 2025, 250 years of the Army. What you're about to see is perhaps nothing like really anything you've ever seen. You might have been to an air show, or you might have served in the military yourself, and you see the great power and might of the American military. This is going to be the biggest, the best of all time. There is no doubt about it, and I'm pinching myself right now. I know Mr. Director is thrilled to be here to watch this big, bold, beautiful military parade. Not only the Army's birthday, but also the 79th birthday of our Commander-in-Chief. So happy birthday, Mr. President. I know you've downplayed it this week, being very humble about it, but I don't think it's a mistake that you were born on Flag Day. I think God had a plan there, and he has put you on this mission to serve the great people of this nation. And that's something I've learned from this network, talking to you, the American people, in real time. Over the course of the last year, I'm coming up on my first year anniversary already of being with Right Side Broadcasting Network, and it's been the most amazing experience in my professional career. Speaking with you, the American people in the swing states and throughout our great country about why you got involved in this movement 10 years ago. On Monday, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump came down the golden escalator. And the so-called global elites, the Hollywood folks like George Clooney, remember how they laughed and they said, Donald Trump won't be president. That'll never happen. Remember Barack Obama when he was president on that loser, low-energy late-night show hosted by Jimmy Kimmel? I could laugh about it. He mic dropped, reading his Twitter account saying, oh, well, at least I'll be a president, going after President Donald Trump for criticizing, at the time, the worst president in American history. That was far surpassed by the auto pen number 46. But this network was here to cover all of that and to talk to you, the American people, in real time. Most of you were not Republicans. You weren't Democrats. You weren't necessarily independents. You were apolitical, who came into the mix in the fold because you thought, wow, this man who hosted The Apprentice, who gave us a look at his incredible life building a global real estate empire and building some of the tallest buildings and saving some of the architectural masterpieces. We see it here with the Waldorf Astoria just down the street from here, which was the Trump Hotel, and it used to be the old post office in Washington, D.C. One of the most brilliant, beautiful buildings in all of America. Be sure to visit here for a kiddie cocktail if you're with the family, or one of their old fashions or a martini, because you won't find a finer spot in the federal city to enjoy some wining and dining as you're traveling these big, beautiful buildings and our history here in Washington, D.C. There's nothing more special, and we're so proud today to bring you this special access on Saturday, June 14th, 2025, Your Government in Action. This big, bold, beautiful military parade, and President Trump will be there momentarily, really an hour from now, to catch all of the action in that box. Lee Greenwood to sing God Bless the USA, among many other musical acts. It's going to be a ramped-up celebration, all culminating in fireworks. We'll have it all here for you, live from Washington, D.C. We also have Mr. Matthew Alvarez in studio live, Auburn, Alabama, the loveliest village on the plains, and it truly is, because it's a slice of Americana. That's what we're all about here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Make America wealthy again, make America strong again, make America safe again, and celebrate everything happening here today.
It's so
now,
true.
Other countries have celebrated their victories in World War II over the course of, look at Russia, May 8th, what took place recently. Look what has happened on Bastille Day. Emmanuel Macron was talking to President Trump, inviting him in the first term, come to Bastille Day, come see what it's all about. And then President Trump said, you know what, Emmanuel, I think we have to have a big, beautiful celebration just like yours in the United States, because we were the ones who were the back-to-back World War champs. We liberated a continent. We, in turn, saved the world, and all of these other countries celebrating their military might. Why don't we do that right here in the United States, in the federal city? And we have not done so since 1991, since President George H.W. Bush was in office, Bush 41. So, Matthew, what do you think about all of this exciting day, this birthday? I really love how President Trump, too, he's been downplaying his own birthday, but amazing to see that it coincides with Flag Day, the 250th celebration of the United States Army.
Exactly right. So I'm thinking about Patriot Day in America. You know, usually it's Rally Day in America. We cover so many rallies over the years here at Right Side, but finally we're seeing a Patriot Day in America. Flag Day, President Trump's birthday, the 250 years young for the United States Army. And Robert, your enthusiasm is contagious. You know, you and I both, and everyone that watches and everyone we work with, you know, we understand that we're on the right side of history here. This is history in the making, literally, when we cover this president. This president, the name Donald Trump, to me, and I believe to you as well, when you hear the names George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, this guy, this outsider who has won 3 elections in a row, except for we know what happened in 2020. But the fact is, it's all about we the people. He always said, when we win the White House, when we win the White House. And on November 5th, 2024, if you remember, you were sitting right here with me at the desk, Christina Loren as well, and we were saying, thank God in heaven that he has won this thing. And we want to just see more winning and justice be served as well. There's a lot to be done yet, but promises made, promises kept. Your thoughts so far, Bobby, about the past, 4 months that we've seen this president and this cabinet doing a damn good job. Let's just put it that way.
And Matthew, that's how he is as a real person. We've heard it from people even like Bill Maher, who disagrees with him. When President Trump invited him to the White House at the invitation of a mutual friend, Bob Ritchie, better known as Kid Rock, President Trump is interested in what the people have to say. And that's why we want to bring that access from our viewers to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and vice versa. I can tell you on October 11th of last year, when I had that private conversation with President Trump before that rally, before the announcement of Operation Aurora to 60,000 plus just outside of Denver, Colorado, near that beautiful Omni Hotel in gorgeous Aurora, Colorado, that was overrun with Tren de Aragua and MS-13. Thank God it's being cleaned up because of our great ICE and Border Patrol and security guards who are doing their job and doing it patriotically. I don't like to talk about private conversations, but I'll share this. President Trump said to me when we were talking about the history of presidential rallies, and I said, it's because of you, sir. It's your enthusiasm. It's your love for this country. And he said, Bobby, it's us. It's our movement. It's we, the people. And I was floored by it. And I've seen it before. I've seen it when he presents to places like Turning Point USA, to high school and college students, and has often said, many of you might be standing right where I am today. It's my legacy to leave you. It's my duty. It's my mission right now to carry that out. It's hard for a president, I think, to look to the future and imagine someone else not in that office, especially one who's doing as well as this man is. But that's the content of his character, and I like to share that because the people should know who he truly is. A man of courage, a man of zeal, of effort. No one will work harder, and no one will love this military quite like this civilian commander who respects it so dearly. And we saw that as recent as Fort Bragg, North Carolina earlier this week. And in turn, the troops love him as well. It's a great day to celebrate America. As we thank our sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. President Trump recently signed that executive order to lower prescription drug prices. This is a major step in the right direction, but All Family Pharmacy is not waiting around. Right now, they're giving 20% off through June 30th, and Americans can start saving right away. They're over 200 essential medications, including ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, and those emergency medical kits that could save your life in case there's an emergency or a natural disaster hitting your neck of the woods. No insurance, no waiting room, no problem. Truly, this comes to you within 24 hours to your doorstep and is reliable across the access to meds from every doctor, ready to help every household they have stocked. All Family Pharmacy works with your licensed doctors to ship this directly to your door. And if drug prices finally come down with this executive order, as they're promised to do, this pharmacy is already ahead of the game, leading the charge in helping people stay prepared. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use code RSBN20. Save 20% off now through June 30th. And once you get your health in order, why not get those financial savings and retirement knocking out of the park for you and yours? You've worked so hard, and with China going after us, buying and grabbing prime time American farmland around our military bases, rolling out new digital currency, the doom and gloom is there, and I don't like to talk about it, but it's a reality. China is a major player, and the Communist Chinese Party wants an economic Pearl Harbor to happen to the United States because they can't keep up with President Trump and his reciprocal tariffs. Let's just be honest about that. They want to devastate your IRA, your 401k, but President Trump is that financial genius, and even with him in office, letting retirement savers like you protect your life savings, it's good to have gold 100% tax-free, the one inflation-proof resistance to digital and paper money currencies that could be the fall of those currencies in the near future. So when you call the trustworthy experts at Colonial Metals Group, 866-317-2159 or freegoldguide.com/RSBN, you'll receive that free gold guide for 2025. No obligation needed. Just a great way to look at what might help you. And since 1971, gold going up over 7,000% since the Nixon administration went off the gold standard. That's freegoldguide.com/RSBN or call now 866-317-2159. Judge Janine, she loves this group, and she's protecting the federal city appointed by President Trump as the federal attorney for the District of Columbia. And we here at the network endorse Colonial Metals Group as well. So do not delay. Go after them today. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. And Matthew, I am sweating like a snow cone in Phoenix, as Robin Williams would say on Mrs. Doubtfire, one of my favorite movies. But I actually watched earlier today from 1983. You know, we both love comedy so much. He had a great presentation in arguably the home of our nation, one of our first nation's capital, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where those founding documents came from. He was actually playing the American flag in a poem and had laughs and tears and great pride for the American people, finalizing it, saluting, saying, I might be the symbol, but you are truly the American flag, you the American people. So life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, all for you. It's what you make of it, and we're celebrating that today.
We are celebrating that today. And I remember my wife and I, we went to Independence Hall in Philadelphia and, you know, saw where it all happened. You know, the birth of freedom there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as we're seeing a live picture right now of Dan Scavino Jr. right there in the middle of your screen. There's Dana White of the UFC. So people are really filing in. So Robert, as people have grown accustomed to obviously hearing our commentary, opinion, editorial, but also news reporting, they've also were used to hearing President Trump's full speech. So they also like to see people out there at the live venue. So why don't we do this? Speaking of we the people, maybe if you'd like, we can pan the crowd a little bit out there in D.C. And then if you'd like to just share with us what you see out there. Actually, we're hearing that President Trump is departing from the White House. Let's go to that quickly first.
Minneapolis.
Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. And they're looking for that particular man right now. Thank you.
How concerned are you about potential attacks on U.S. forces in Iran?
Inside the Cadillac there, the Beast, of course, on the way to Constitution Avenue to celebrate this parade, to celebrate what we're about to see here, 250 years of this United States Army. So looking forward to that. So that was live, literally as you saw it there, as reporters were asking questions. Again, a lot going on in that 24/7 news cycle. Trust me, we know, but we are also seeing, of course, today, this huge parade in Washington, D.C. Going to be great to go back live to Robert, where he'll be able to show us the vantage point where he's at, adjacent to the stage where the president, as you see, on the way there right now, and also to just show us all of the people as the president waves to the cameras there on the, I believe that's the south lawn of the White House. So usually that's where Marine One will be, and that's where the president usually departs to go over to Joint Base Andrews on his way to various places, including tomorrow, actually. He'll be going to Calgary, Canada for the G7 there that is happening starting tomorrow through the 17th. And then he'll also go to the Netherlands towards the end of the month for the NATO summit. So that is the vantage point there as we're looking live at the Washington Monument. Not sure if I can see the Jefferson Memorial there, but from my vantage point. But thanks so much for streaming into this coverage. We're going to have the entire parade right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You'll see the fireworks. You'll see the thousands of soldiers marching, and just really a pay of respect and celebration to this great United States Army. If you remember, President Trump said during the Fort Bragg speech in North Carolina the other day, he said, quote, "This week, we remember that we only have a country because we first had an army. And after 250 years, we still proudly declare that we are free because you are strong," speaking to the Army there at Fort Bragg. He said, "We are safe because you are brave, and America's flag will never fall because America's Army will never, ever fail." And I can sense the USA chants going on when that happened there in Fort Bragg. And I remember when President Trump, even at the end of it, did the Trump dance, and all of the soldiers were just going nuts, screaming about that and chanting USA. So obviously a patriotic day. This is Patriot Day in America. So glad you're streaming in with us as we've been covering conservative news since day one here back in 2015. Grassroots company, onward now to celebrating 10 years this summer. And speaking of 10 years, this Monday, June 16th, is the 10-year anniversary since President Trump went down the golden escalators at Trump Tower. That's this Monday coming up, the 16th, 10 years. And it's been great to have President Trump as the leader of the free world for pretty much all 10 years. It's been what it's been like with his leadership. So looking forward to returning to Robert McNeily there live as it is 5:45 Saturday, June 14th. Producer, are we going back to Robert right now? Okay, so we have about 30 seconds until we go back to Robert McNeily live there as the president is on his way to this huge event there on Constitution Avenue. So glad you're watching with us, and so glad you're counting on us now for so many live reports, including the White House press briefings that happen or the executive orders signing at the White House, and all the foreign leaders that visit. Conservative media on the right side of history. Forget the mainstream, lamestream media, as Rush Limbaugh used to call it. This is the right side of history. Thank you guys for watching. We're on the same side here, the majority of the country. And hopefully more will join. Let's go to Washington, D.C. with Robert McNeily and Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you in a bit.
Thank you, Matthew. Live from Auburn, Alabama, our studios. And we are live here in Washington, D.C. for you, the good American people, with special primetime coverage of the beautiful military parade, unlike any other, with our media colleagues and friends up here, perhaps in the greatest vantage point that anyone could have right off of Constitution Avenue. And we hope that you're enjoying today with family, with friends, perhaps cracking open a big, cold, beautiful American beer celebrating 250 years of this experiment. As Matthew said, like our founders mentioned, without the Grand Army of the Republic 250 years ago, the shots heard around the world, fired at Lexington and Concord, west of Boston, Massachusetts, were so much upheaval. The Tea Party took place, where taxation without representation happening in droves. An interesting little tidbit of history, John Adams actually represented the people in the Boston Massacre, the soldiers who actually fired upon the colonists. It was found that some of those colonists did agitate those soldiers at the time. Amazing to see that John Adams so committed to the truth and to law and order and those values that led to a constitutional republic of law and order, all equal under God. And his first assignment post the Continental Congress, and also with the founding documents of writing that Constitution, bringing it all together, being a representative from Massachusetts, the first ambassador to the Court of St. James, and those who we defeated in 1776 and beyond, becoming some of our oldest friends now, the British. John Adams had his first post as the ambassador to the United Kingdom. So think about that history before he became vice president, and then, of course, the second president of the United States. We celebrate all of this today. We celebrate our history. We celebrate our culture. That's a beautiful thing about America, that regardless of where you come from, your economic background, perhaps another nation, you can come here legally and learn about and swear an oath to this great constitutional republic, and you are immediately an American. You can fly that flag high as we are celebrating all of that today. President Trump recently sharing on Truth Social as well from the Oval Office, welcome to the recent legal immigrants who were sworn in as American citizens. So I like to just point that out because people on the far left, the globalist agenda, saying he somehow does not like immigrants. Nothing could be further from the truth. We know our beautiful First Lady is an immigrant. Look how much she's given to this great nation of ours. Recently, from the Take It Down Act that was signed into law to Be Best, an initiative that helps everyone seek their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness as they see fit in this time-tested constitutional republic. As Mr. Benjamin Franklin said to the individual outside of Constitution Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, "What did you give us, Mr. Franklin?" He responded, "A constitutional republic, if you can keep it." And we've done that over the course of threats, fascism, communism, the upheaval that's taken place over the course of countless years. But here we stand, a united people, celebrating 250 years of our Army. And what you're about to see is an amazing display of American power and might. I think that rain is coming. But regardless, we're going to have fun here. If you like what you see on Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, we behoove you, please donate. We're citizen journalists. We're citizen hosts. We have the written word at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. And you can also donate on that website via rsbnetwork.com/donate or text RSBN, that's RSBN, easy to remember, to 801-801. Text RSBN to 801-801. If you can give a $2 bill, one of my favorites out there, or a $20 bill, $200, whatever it might be. Hey, $2,000? I'm not an auctioneer, but I might be doing that tonight. We'd be very grateful to you because that's what keeps us on air, along with our wonderful sponsors who bring you quality products. And nearly all of them I've purchased for myself and have them at my home, whether it's financial protection to those great Trump planes from Patriotic Deals, or investing in gold and silver and protecting my retirement accounts. This is very important. We're just getting word now that the parade has been moved up to 6:04 roughly. So that is just around the corner here, perhaps because of the impending rain taking place. And President Trump said via Truth Social, regardless of the weather, this continues unless there is lightning. Of course, we would seek close shelter. We would make sure we're safe because we're under trees right now. And we want our friends in the media here at roughly 5:52 to be safe, as we like to be safe as well. But we're ready to celebrate this big, bold, beautiful military parade taking place here on Constitution Avenue. And Mr. Director and I are truly having the time of our lives in one of our favorite cities, Washington, D.C. This was built in order to showcase your great constitutional republic, to be an intimidation to foreign leaders, but also to be humbling in nature and welcoming. And as German Chancellor Merz said recently, again, congratulations on his victory to President Trump. Thank you for allowing me to stay at the Blair House. I don't remember a recent foreign leader talking about how great the Blair House is. He said, wow, what accommodations right across from the beautiful White House, and what a gift from Chancellor Merz of Germany to President Donald Trump, the birth certificate of President Trump's grandfather right there in real time and encased in a beautiful display. And President Trump saying, hey, maybe we'll showcase this in the Oval Office. It's his birth certificate from the Kingdom of Bavaria, now Germany, from 1869. And really an interesting businessman in his own right. President Trump's grandfather having taken his German ancestry and became a salesman, worked in real estate, not only in New York City, but also in what is now Oregon and Washington. So building hotels from sea to shining sea. Isn't it amazing how quickly the American dream can be realized? And most recently, we saw that photo at the Vatican. 3 American stories, an American vice president, an American pope for the first time in history, number 267, Pope Leo XIV, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. If you look at their humble beginnings from Florida to Appalachia to Dalton, Illinois, all 3 of those men sought to serve and were honest, hardworking, forthright. And look where they are now. Truly an inspiration to all those hoping to lead in the future, whether that be through their local church, whether that be in their government. And we know that what the founders envisioned, you are not only to have the option of doing so, but because we are free, it ought to be your responsibility to find a way to serve. So that's what people ask too. What should I do right now? How can I serve my country? Well, there's the military. We'll see it on display today, especially if you're a young person looking to graduate high school or college and you want to go above and beyond. Be all you can be, as the Army once said. 250 years strong now. We are Army strong in this great country. That's a wonderful way to serve. But think about your school boards. Think about city council. And if you can stomach it, maybe you run for Congress and deal with the people right down the street from us. That's a tough one for sure. But great people, especially in the Republican conference, working overtime to get great legislation out there, including the Take It Down Act. And we will pay credit where credit's due. That was First Lady Melania Trump along with Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, of course, our friend Ted Cruz of Texas. They came together in a bipartisan manner to make sure no one was sexually exploited online. President Trump signed that into law, and First Lady Melania Trump signing that honorably as she got the ball rolling on that legislation. So there are good stories here in Washington, and we hope to showcase that. And the real news, everything that's happening on a daily basis. We hear some of those fighter jets overhead now. This will be an exciting event. I can't wait for you and I, Mr. Director, and the countless friends and family that you are enjoying this with on this beautiful Saturday evening in America. This military parade forthcoming. So it's been moved up now to approximately 6:04, just minutes away from now as we're close to the 6 o'clock hour in the good old US of A. If you're just joining us now, I am Robert McNeily. It's always a joy to be with you, and I am live here in the federal city of Washington, D.C. We are also joined live by the magnificent Matthew Alvarez in our home studio of Auburn, Alabama, the loveliest village on the plains. And I love visiting here in Washington, D.C., but I also love our humble home of Auburn because in both cases you get a slice of Americana for different reasons, but regardless, it's a great time to celebrate being an American today as we celebrate our sponsors here on the right side of history, Colonial Metals Group. China is out of control. We know that to be a fact, and I don't like to play doom and gloom, but I'm honest with you, the American people. That's my job as a host here, anchor, and journalist on the right side of history. They are grabbing primetime American farmland. They are buying up areas around our military installations and bases, perhaps spying. And what about those Confucius Institutes? And what about the manipulation of currency and their new digital currency? Look, the doom talk is bad, but I have to be forthright with you. Communist China is plotting a financial Pearl Harbor, and we can't let that happen to your precious dollars. So it can be devastating to your IRA or 401k and your savings. But President Trump, he is a financial genius because he's letting retirement savers like you protect your life savings with gold, 100% tax-free. So take advantage of this now in this short window that we have with him again as Commander-in-Chief. You'll receive your free 2025 gold guide on how to bulletproof your savings with gold and silver. And now, for a limited time, if you go with freegoldguide.com/RSBN, you stand a chance to receive $7,500 in free silver. Think about that. So give them a call right now. Don't delay while you're waiting a few minutes away from this great, big, beautiful parade 866-317-2159. That's 866-317-2159. Tell them that Robert McNeely sent you. freegoldguy.com/RSBN. It's important to protect your health as well after the things that have happened in this scary time, and that's prescription drug prices going up. We know that President Trump has signed that beautiful EO, but there is one online pharmacy protecting you from financial collapse. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Let me tell you now, over 200 essential medications, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, they have all of it for you, including emergency medical kits and antibiotics that can be life-saving in the middle of a storm. Like, imagine rain's about to pour on you, like right now, and then you can't really get out to your pharmacy, go to urgent care. It's nice to be prepared, especially when you're on vacation. You could take all of these life-saving medications with you. Now, if you don't have insurance, there's no hassle, there's no fear, because the prescriptions that you'll need to get this medication, it'll come to you in roughly 24 hours after you order. The doctors work around the clock here at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And now through June 30th, 20% off. Yes, 20% off your entire order. Code RSBN20. That's RSBN20 right there for you. 20% off today. Let's make America healthy again. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. The music is cranking. I can smell a little bit of the grilling happening. Maybe people have some hot dogs and burgers going as we're excited to get the show on a roll now. We're right at 6 o'clock Eastern. That's 3 o'clock on the West Coast for you golden people enjoying what's going to be here a golden hour, actually a series of golden hours. The parade happening momentarily, celebrating 250 years of the Army, America 250, the beginning of a golden jubilee. In the golden era, I could not be more proud of this history we've had. Even in our darkest moments, our scariest moments, even up against the cognitive decline of an auto pen, we have stood strong, peacefully and patriotically defending this great nation. And now, recruitment like never before. Thanks to President Trump and Vice President Vance, Secretary Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and this all-star cabinet being brought to you by the mental prowess and abilities of a gentleman we celebrate today. I know he's been very humble about it, but President Trump is 79 years young today. He's a man who, come Monday, 10 years ago, came down a golden escalator with his beautiful wife, our First Lady, Melania Trump. And together, as a team, dapper as ever, dashing as ever, as they were at the Kennedy Center a few nights ago for Les Miserables, they seek to serve this great nation. And they will be here in attendance. Well, we'll toss it now to production. We're excited to present to you in the prime time America 250, live at RSBN. Enjoy the military parade and all that's to come tonight.